And welcome out, Flightdeck, podcast dedicated to Montreal Alouettes football, presented by our good friends over at Royal Retros, where you don't need a time machine in order to get some sweet, sweet throwback merch. Head over to royalretros.com, use the code Flightdeck at checkout, and you will save 10% off your entire order. That's royalretros.com. Use the code, go to the site, save some money, get some CFLPA merch, get some Football Canada merch, and a lot more. I'm Tim Capper. You can find me on X and Blue Sky at Repacked. That's REPPACT.
Hey, you guys! This is Cliffy D. You can also find me on X and Blue Sky at Cliffy D.
Now, if people get that reference, oh
Let's
my
see.
God, that's hilarious. That's a deep cut, but that's amazing.
It's also going to show our age yet again. Everybody got stuck doing that.
I was gonna say, if you start singing the song there, the theme song, da-na-na-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Now you're really showing your age.
I know. Well, as soon as you said it, it's like now I know exactly where he's going with this one. How you doing, bud? It's camping season.
100%. And yes, so happy. So it's, as I said last week, I said it's going to feel like all is right with the world. And yes, I can 100% confirm, ladies and gentlemen, that yes, all is right with the world because the Canadian Football League is back in action.
Yeah, and it's, we got a little, obviously our experience to talk about at camp. Want to remind everybody that when it comes to interviews and stuff like that, it's a little bit different. So we are hoping to have some interviews during the process, not necessarily players, but stuff like but that's our hope. But I mean, it's again, we hope to have, like we do every year for camp, we'll have some people on over the next couple of weeks. But it still was fun getting back into the groove. Remembering to put on sunscreen, forgetting to put on sunscreen, getting that base of color. But it was fun. And, we talked about we talked about what it was last year and hoping, looking to see what the team was going to do this year in Saint-Jerome and slight modifications and stuff like that to the playing area and whatnot. Team, players weren't as sequestered as they normally were. They made some nice modifications. I think we'll start with that, Cliff. They really did. I think they took a hard look at what they did last year when it came to camp. And I think they did a really good job when it came to improving, I would think, the fan experience slightly.
Yeah, and let's not forget, last year was their first time in Saint-Jerome doing this Alouettes training camp. So there's a learning curve. And I think they took note of what worked, what didn't work, and what didn't work, they got rid of. And give them credit because it felt a lot smoother this year. I felt like it was a lot more fan-friendly, a lot more inclusive. I feel like that the team really wanted to put on a show, really wanted to get people excited about camp, and the fans that showed up, I think they had an absolute blast. I just from all the commentary, and it was great to see so many of the great fans make the trip to Saint-Jerome to go and support this team, to watch training camp and be a part of this. And everybody was in great spirits. The atmosphere is great. The weather was great. I mean, it really was a fantastic day out.
It was. Weather seemed to be perfect. It was a mixture of, cloud and sun. But I think one of the funny things that I noticed, and I don't know, maybe it's the past couple of years, and maybe ever since with the Jason Moss era and stuff like that, is that we get there at camp, and camp started at 2:30, and it's funny. A lot of the other teams within the CFL had already finished their first camp practice. A lot of them started really early. I think Edmonton started at 10 local their time and stuff like that. So it's what's your thought on that, by the way? Are you cool with how that starts off for that first day, and then it goes from there? Because obviously the next day is 9:30 and the different sessions, et cetera, et cetera. They kind of seem to be status quo with how they're doing camp this year.
I kind of wonder if it's because of the fact that camp opened on Mother's Day, and maybe the thought was a lot of people were going to be going and doing brunch with their mom, or going to go spend time with their mom and all that. And perhaps that was the reason why they decided let's start camp a little bit later than usual compared to the other teams. I mean, it's still a job no matter what. Like
Yeah.
these guys are basically a 3-week job interview when you think about it. Whether you're a veteran or a rookie, you're fighting for a spot on this team. And I don't know. I like the idea that it's done a little bit later because it does. As far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse not to go. Like if you want to see this team in action, you know, I get on a Sunday morning, maybe you don't want to get up at the crack of dawn just to go watch a bunch of guys run around on football field. I get that. So with that in mind, if you set it at 2:30, to me, there's no excuse. I mean, you got plenty of time to get up, go spend time with your mom on Mother's Day if that's when the first day of camp falls upon, and then get your butt over to Saint-Jerome and watch these guys do their thing. I mean, to me, I think it's great. I think that's, quite frankly, these early mornings are not for me, and I'm sure they're not for a lot of people as well. So I think in that sense, they got it right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, if you didn't see Flight Deck Live, well, God, I'm very surprised. Go watch it. But we'll be there a couple of early days for sure. And it seems to be it's funny, over the next couple of days, there's gonna be the weather's going to go from one extreme to the next because we're sitting now when it's, it is mid-May, 25 degrees, et cetera, and we're we're expecting the low teens coming up on holiday Monday, but camp is camp life is camp life, right? When you go camping, you got to remember to bring everything, whether it be the bug net, whether it be the spray, whether it be an extra bag of marshmallows because the raccoons take the first one. You got to remember to bring everything.
That's it. Be prepared. That's the scouting model, right? And they do a lot of camping. Be prepared.
Yeah. Anything that else that stood out before you talk about the session itself, Cliff? I mean, anything that you noticed out of the ordinary? I mean, we found out obviously after first day about two of our guys being placed on the veteran injuries list, which for some reason we had never heard of. I haven't been able to go back and check if it was the same thing last year. Maybe nobody was on it, but I know we did explain the veterans injured list on Flight Deck Live, but any other things that really stood out to you before the practice session?
Nothing that I would say that's out of the ordinary. I mean, I think a lot of people, again, were just so excited to see these guys back in action. And you could tell, too, the energy as these guys were coming onto the field, too. Like, they were there to work, but you could tell, like, big smiles on their faces and that energy right away and just starting to chirp even during the warm-ups. You hear a lot of chirping and a lot of crap talk and things like that. Like, just all good-natured, I'd have to believe. But, I mean, like, you can tell these guys are ready to go. They've been raring to go for a while. So, I mean, this was... And that energy just fed off. And you could tell, like, the crowd that was there, people were excited. People were feeding off of that energy, and just all around it was good times. It's just good vibes, good times. There was nothing hanging overhead, which is so nice because there are times where you kind of get that, right? Like you kind of get the feeling like, okay, something's not right here, or so many weird things took place during the off season, and is this going to affect camp? Is this going to affect how this team starts their season? And there was really none of that. Like it was just simply a matter of, okay, here's a team that came this close to repeating as Grey Cup champions, didn't get the job done. It's almost like unfinished business. Like they realize we had a golden opportunity and we didn't take advantage of it. So not going to get fooled again. And that seemed to be the mindset. That seemed to be the energy that I was getting off of these guys during that first day of camp was we want to be playing in late November in Winnipeg. And it starts today. It starts day one at camp. It's a first step in a long, long journey, but these guys were definitely raring to go.
Yeah, I think for me, it was something that we saw afterwards because it really hadn't been published up until that point, Cliff, is seeing the yearly tradition that the team has been doing over the past couple of years when it comes to, and the team has put out in social media and stuff like that, where Coach Moss and the introduces the football ops staff and asks the players. He talks about the culture. He talks about the 514. He talks about the province of Quebec, and like he has done in years past, because we are in Quebec, they are playing in Montreal. To get the players to uh, say their name, where they came from, and their number, but not only their number in English, but their number in French. And I think it's a great tradition that has been started by Coach Moss, because he really has embraced the culture here in Quebec and in Montreal. And it was cool to see. It really was cool to see these guys. And unlike in years past, I think they actually put up a graphic. It was shown on their Facebook page, by the way, if anybody didn't see it. But they put up a graphic that had their name, had the numbers in French. So the guys tried, but it still was it's a great tradition that has been started and that has been continued. And I think it's at least the last 3 or 4 seasons that they've done this.
Yeah. And some people may argue, is that really so important? And you know what? In Montreal, in the province of Quebec, if you want to have the fans embrace you, that goes a long, long way. I mean, even just a bonjour, merci from these guys that are coming from like the deep south of the United States, just doing something like that, or just learning how to say their number in French is massive. And that the Quebecois people really appreciate just the effort being made in trying to assimilate and be a part of this culture, being a part of playing and working in this province, in this country even. And to me, there's no negative as far as I'm concerned. And it just makes for a great culture, as you talked about, like building and maintaining that culture that Jason Moss has instilled from day one of his tenure here. Even to the point, like there's a story in the press about Davis Alexander, our starting quarterback, going to a restaurant, ordering in French, like very basic, just table for two in French, and just bonjour, same idea, bonjour, merci, just little things, but I mean, it makes a big difference. And when you hear that your starting quarterback is doing that, if you're a francophone fan and you hear that your starting quarterback, who is as American as it gets, he's making the effort to do things like that, you can't help but be excited. I mean, you obviously you care about what's going on the field, but little things like that, when you hear stories like that, I mean, it's got to warm the cockles of your heart. It's got to make you excited and be like, wow, that's my guy. That's my quarterback. That's my team right there.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised, because we've had some other players who've been with the team before. And it wasn't, the team has always done French lessons, and it makes me wonder about some guys who may have gone from here maybe to Ottawa. If they still do, they may not use it as much, but maybe they do use it from time to time, especially when some of the francophones come over from Gatineau or come in from Montreal and stuff like that. And so maybe they still use it. And the thing is, if they hadn't learned it here, they wouldn't have been able to use it. So I mean, I'm guessing that they still do, but I mean, it's good. It's despite all the stuff sometimes that we can hear between the stuff that happens here in Quebec, this is really one way to make to put everything aside and to become a part of a giant family. And that's exactly what this is. That's what the Owls are trying to do. And props to them. Props to them. As you said, I agree with you. Every time that we do speak with a new guy here on the show, whether we say it on air or we say it before the interview, it's always worth the effort. Always. So.
And you've even got players that are living here in Montreal year round. So, I mean, they're going to have to hear French. They're going to have to, even just basic French, just to get around, even just going to the grocery store, going to the restaurant, going anywhere in the city. I mean, yes, most people will, again, if you truly can't, people will make the effort, but I mean, just little things like that. I mean, it means so much to the people here. And like, I give everybody full marks. Anyone who's like stayed throughout the winter here, first of all, where it's ridiculously cold and miserable. And then, oh yeah, you're gonna have to also speak a foreign language from time to time. And the fact that you're embracing that and doing that is just absolutely phenomenal. Like, how do you not cheer for guys like that? How do you not want to support guys like that when they're willing to make that effort in order to pursue their football dream? I mean, that is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, good example is former Alouette superstar Gino Lewis. He's here full time. So I mean, and there are quite a few others who are here full time now. So it's it's about, again, as you said, it was a good thing to see. I do hope they continue it. One little tidbit that I did notice, by the way, as we've talked about, and Tim's a big logo guy. They had that jet logo again this year that you can see slightly on in the video itself. They still have the acronym for Cody's, uh,
If you just watch.
speech. Yep. But they also added a new one. Maybe we got to get, and I think we kind of have an idea what it is, but we'll have to find out. But on the other wing this year is the word C word. Could mean championship, could mean something else, but maybe it's something that we will have to ask later at the end of the year again if we can get to speak with Coach Moss again, or at least if he'll tell us maybe on the field post game or whatnot. But that's one of the few minor changes to the logo itself. But
I hope it's not the C word that most people think about when you say the C word, because that would be rude. That would be very rude.
Let's move on.
And we roll.
Yeah. Thoughts on the beginning of camp. One thing stood out to me is one thing that I noticed, and it really has been mentioned since then, since there has been a minor change. Despite the whole injured veterans list, which I thought was very unique. And for those who didn't watch Flightdeck live, it's basically 2 players can be placed on a list that had for whatever reason that they have not been medically cleared. And again, it can be only 2. It can only be 2 per team. Were you surprised at all with having the guys on it that were on it? One being Mustafa Johnson and who was the other one? It was our other
Joshua Donovan.
Thank you. Any surprises?
I wouldn't say surprises per se, especially when it came to Mustafa Johnson, because we know he was dealing with a pretty bad injury that basically killed his 2024 season. Joshua Donovan, I was a little surprised, if only because, yes, I know he was maybe a little bit banged up, but he'd also looked like he had renegotiated his contract. So there was a little, when you look at the transaction wire, it looked like there's a little bit of action in regards to him. But then all of a sudden, he's deleted and re-added, which is normal when your contract gets modified for whatever reason. So, okay, fine. He must have re-upped his deal or again, changed some of the language around. Any number of things could have happened in regards to that. But then to see him immediately put on the injured reserve list or injured veteran list, like, okay, that's unusual. So again, maybe it's just a clerical thing. It's hard to say, but that one kind of made me, crinkle my nose just a little bit. Like, wait a minute, something's not right here. And both guys were there. Both guys were at camp. I mean, they were in civvies, for lack of a better term. They weren't dressed in their traditional gear to be out practicing in, but they're there, and all indications are they will be participating in camp soon, just not right away. So hopefully that's the case. Hopefully that's how it all works out. And especially in the case for Mustafa Johnson, there's no need to rush him back, just because he is such an integral part of this defensive line that I would hate for him to tweak something, or just, after making all this recovery process and progress in that, I would hate like heck for him to do something to I guess, for lack of a better term, impede his progress. So Donovan, on the other hand, I mean, I didn't know there was anything too problematic with him, but same idea. I hope if he's ready to go, then let's get him out there. Otherwise, take your time, because again, there's definitely a lot of offensive linemen vying for a job, but let them get the reps, let them get a chance to showcase what they can do, because we know what Joshua Donovan can do. I mean, he's an absolutely phenomenal tackle, and there's no question in my mind he's going to make this team. But once again, don't do anything to impede your progress, and like I said, we'll see these guys sooner rather than later.
Yeah. The other thing too, and we there, and this, by the way, this usually we will see stuff. I'll say point blank right now. Usually we will see stuff, and we won't mention it because we don't know. We may not know the full context, but we have seen some stuff that we did see something during the first day, but it has been mentioned now, so we can talk about it. We did see that Tyson Philpott was not taking part in first day of camp either. Seemed to be working on the other field where the kickers usually do their practicing and stuff like that, and seem to be doing, whether it be stretching or I don't want to call it rehab, but some sort of stretching. Um, and obviously, as everybody knows, Tyson's coming off of a major injury. We did find out that 2 days in, he did finally practice for the first time, which is great to hear. And that came directly from the team in one of their press releases. That was a great thing to hear, Cliff, because considering, again, of all the guys that got hurt last year that are still in the team, because Stubblefield's now in Ottawa, in Hamilton. Hearing that Tyson, which is going to be an integral part of this Alouettes wide receiving core, it's great to see him back on the field and practicing. And I said, maybe it's just a little blip itself. We anything can happen during the off season or leading up to camp, and maybe it was just a little tweak. But either way, it was glad to see that Tyson was back on the field, even though it was 2 days later.
Oh yeah, and I think he's definitely motivated this year. I think I think a big part of him is extremely disappointed of how his 2024 season went, or basically didn't go, as the case would be. So I think he's coming into the season with just a little bit extra motivation. I can't help but wonder. His twin brother Jalen was a free agent and opted not to come to Montreal and play with his brother, but rather stay in Calgary. I wonder if maybe that's kind of stoking Tyson's fire just a little bit. It's like, hey, wait a minute, hold on. Jalen balled out last year, but I didn't get a chance to. So no, I got to step up. I got to remind everybody who the real, Philpott brother is. Maybe that's his motivation. Maybe that's what's, lighting the fire under him. Or maybe it's just a matter of being part of what I feel is going to be an absolutely phenomenal wide receiver room here in Montreal.
I agree. Anything else? We're just talking about the little. I know there are some things that we really did love. I know we did mention on Flightdeck Live too, but there's some things that we just absolutely love to see this year. And we'll talk about, before the end of the show, we will be talking about the cuts that have already been made. So it's very possible that we may reference some of the guys that may already not be on the team anymore. But any other things that may have stood out to you? I mean, we did find out at one point Joseph Zima was on the suspended list for whatever reason. We know as of today he has been activated again. Any other things that player wise? I mean, as I said, there are a lot of guys that do have new numbers. We joke every year that it is always good to have a scorecard or at least the website up, so you can see who the players are and their new numbers. But anything else that stood out?
Yeah, it's also unfortunate too that the Alouettes didn't have actual hard paper versions of the player lineup, I guess we'll call it, for lack of a better term. I mean, yes, everything on the website was up to date, thankfully, but when the sun's beating down and you're trying to stare at a phone and you're squinting, and if you got your sunglasses on and it's those anti-glare deals and all that, it's maybe not so easy to do.
First world problems.
Agreed. But
to be fair though, I get what you're saying. I got to at least throw this in because if anybody saw it on social media, the list that the Elks had was absolutely crazy. We're talking, I think it was as big as that during the election, the ballot that was in Ontario that had 99 or 100 people on it, whatever it was. But yeah, I agree, because we did ask a few of the ops people there, because they're holding in their hands. They're holding one in their hands.
I mean, is it really that expensive to run off a few copies? I mean, okay, I know you can't necessarily predict how many people are going to be at camp, and does everybody truly need a schedule or a player lineup card? I mean, I personally say yes, because there are going to be times where you're going to see somebody like, oh my gosh, 56 made an absolutely phenomenal move, or 87 made a great. Who's he again? And then, I mean, and also too, you have instances where some numbers are doubled up, right? You've got like a 38 on offense, a 38 on defense, and maybe even a 38 on special teams. I mean, so
Yeah.
when you say, okay, 38 made a great play, okay, which one? So you got to, defense, and then go through the list. Oh, okay, that's who it was. And so, I mean, yes, you can do that on your phone, and I mean, I was doing it, so I mean, it's not so bad, but
no, but maybe they should have it set up similar to how they do the depth chart. Something. If you can set that up online, at least, hey, if you have it online, have it online. I get you if you don't want to print it out, because you're going to be dropping 6 players or 10 players within the next 2 days. I get it. You don't want to waste all the paper. Set it up like a depth chart. It's the same thing. It's a PDF. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, I mean, that's essentially the crux of what I was saying. And so I get it. And as far as anything else that sort of stood out to me on that first day, I mean, nobody looked out of place. And sometimes you get that. Sometimes you get someone that is just not getting it, or you could tell that they were brought in strictly as a camp hand. And I didn't get that impression at all. Like, a lot of these guys came to fight for a job, and you absolutely love to see that. You want it to be that, so the coaching staff and the organization have a hard time deciding who stays and who goes. And let's face it, there's a ton of players there. I think it's 85, if I'm not mistaken. And by today, I think, or this morning, you had to be down to 75. So there's 10 guys that we saw on Sunday that are no longer with the team. But still, everybody looked like they belonged. Everybody looked hungry and ready to fight, ready to do do everything they can to win a spot on this team. And as I said, with 10 players being released, then, the story is, at least the story in Montreal is over for them, but the compete level is right there. The desire, the hunger is there. Like, the fire is burning in them. And could just be a simple matter of, like, these guys haven't been on a football field since November, and they're raring to go. And again, you absolutely love to see that. Like, that's what you want when you go to training camp, and you want to see, like, these flashy free agent signings, or that hot shot, draft pick. You want to see what they're capable of doing, and you see them do it. My goodness, I mean, that's why you get excited. I mean, I look at a lot of the draft picks we had, like Keanu Yazbek, Riley McLeod. Like, those guys were in it. They were balling. Gabriel Mizanov also. I mean, he was in there as well. And just, whatever the coaches were throwing at these guys, they were all for it. And the compete level. I mean, that's what I absolutely love, especially on day one, because maybe people think, okay, well, it's the first day. You're not going to overexert yourself. You don't want to do anything too crazy. But at the same time, this is day one of your 3-week job interview. Like, you've got to start. Especially if you don't want to be turfed right away. And these guys, they had purpose, they had intensity, they had fire, they were ready to go. And I love to see that. I absolutely love, and Alouettes fans have to love it as well, to know that these guys, you may not know them from a hole in the wall, some of these guys, but they want to be on this team, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get on this team, whether it's a practice roster spot, active roster, anything. They want to make sure that they're in the lineup come, well, even just the first preseason game. Even that's not a guarantee, but they want to be a part of this. And to me, that's what makes training camp so much fun, is seeing that compete level on day one, to know that they want it bad enough that they're going to do whatever it takes. Oh my gosh. So fun. So much fun.
Yeah. There are many players that we could talk about in many different positions, but I think one of the things that I think we should center on a little bit, Cliff, is the quarterback room. I mean, everybody right now, Davis Alexander is the guy who is going to be QB1 with MBT behind him. But the other guys behind him are. It's fun because we go back to how we've seen some of these guys when they first get with the team. And again, it's funny you talk about not knowing numbers and stuff like that. That's how it was with David Alexander that first time in Saint-Jerome. We had to keep looking, see what the guy's number was, and see who he was. Who is this guy? Who's been able to throw that bullet. But seeing Caleb Evans back after that horrible injury last year, James Morgan, he's been with the team for on and off, really more than on than off with the team, and also bringing in draft pick Jonathan Senecal. Thoughts on the QB room itself, because it was as I said, it was nice to see Davis in person, seeing what he could do. Seeing McLeod Bethel-Thompson being able to throw in person too, because it's the first time we've been able to see him in his first Alouettes camp, and the rest of the guys. But did you take anything away from just watching the quarterbacks?
What a treat to watch Davis Alexander. I mean, and you could tell he came into camp, as we said, he's yoked, he's jacked. I mean, he looks incredible. He was in phenomenal shape going into camp, and you see it in every one of his throws, and just the way he commands the presence. I mean, he's, again, not the tallest guy, not the most physical guy, although he's starting to look more physical. But some people look at him and they're like, this is really your starting quarterback? But once you see him sling the rock, oh my, he is definitely QB1 without question. And from McLeod Bethel-Thompson, I know a lot of people were kind of upset about his arrival because that meant Cody Fajardo had to disappear, and that's tough. But everything I saw from him, like, wow, okay, you know what? I get it. I see why Danny Machocha made this move. I mean, unfortunately, Fajardo couldn't stay. There was no way he was going to be the backup here in Montreal, and it would have been too much, especially for Davis, to really take command of this team. It just wasn't going to work. Unfortunately, it would have been in a perfect world. It would have, but there's just no way it truly could have worked the way we would have hoped it for. But MBT comes in, and I like his presence. I like the way he commands the huddle. His cadence, though, wow, that's going to take some getting used to, because when he was barking out calls, like just the voice, everything, I imagine for a lot of the receivers in that, it's going to take a little getting used to, especially compared to how Davis, calls out the plays, for example, or Caleb Evans or James Morgan. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, both Davis Alexander and McLeod Bethel-Thompson looked extremely, extremely good. I mean, you talk about a 1-2 punch at the quarterback position, you've got it. Caleb Evans, as you said, very happy to see him back and back in playing form after the injury he suffered in Hamilton last year. Once again, though, that's your short yardage guy. I mean, like, we don't have to overthink things with Caleb Evans, but he understands the assignment, and I can tell that he's going to be ready for it. James Morgan, again, he's kind of that diamond in the rough, potentially. At least that's what the Alouettes brass are hoping for out of him, and the chance to be able to learn from a McLeod Bethel-Thompson is only going to benefit him, whether he stays with his team or not. He's going to learn so much from a veteran like MBT. And then Jonathan Senecal, who, as far as I'm concerned, he's in the perfect spot for where he needs to be in his football career. I know a lot of people are thinking, well, eventually he's going to be QB1 in Montreal. I'm like, maybe he will, but it's not going to be this season. It's not going to be next season. Like, you got to be looking down the road. Kind of how when Danny Mac brought in Davis Alexander, we didn't know it at the time. We just, this random QB shows up, and okay, well, he's not going to take any time away from Vernon Adams or Trevor Harris. But when he started slinging that rock, like, oh, okay, maybe there's something here. 3 years later, he's the man here in Montreal. Does that mean in 3 years, Jonathan Senecal will be the man? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe he just ends up being the best backup that Davis Alexander could possibly have after MBT, calls it a career. Who knows? But I think he's in the perfect position for what he needs to be in his football career, to sit and learn and watch guys like Davis Alexander and McLeod Bethel-Thompson and Caleb Evans, and how they command the pocket, how they, take control of the offense. That, to me, is the best education that he could possibly hope for without, being in a classroom at the Université de Montréal. But if Jonathan Senecal is really serious about becoming a CFL quarterback, He's got some great teachers in front of him. He's got the GOAT essentially as his quarterback coach. I mean, it doesn't get any better than Anthony Calvillo, as far as I'm concerned. As far as, you know, sitting underneath his learning tree and having his wisdom being bestowed upon you. My God, I mean, if Senecal's patient and if he's willing to learn and he's willing to bide his time, there's definitely a future here in Montreal for him. I think that's what fans want to see. I think that's what this organization is seeing. That's why they drafted him, as opposed to just waiting and hopefully sign him as an undrafted free agent. They obviously see something in him to spend a draft pick on him. It's just going to be a matter of time and not trying to rush this guy along any faster or any sooner than what he has to be. So I got to tell you, this quarterback room is going to make a lot of noise this year in 2025, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. Before we continue, I'll remind everybody that we are on social media. You can find the podcast almost anywhere. Just go to your favorite podcast provider and we will be there. If you want to go to our entire archive, you can do so by heading over to www.alouettesflightdeck.ca. If you're looking to rep some merch, we promise some new things are coming. I promise. Some things are coming.
Or you got some old things.
Yeah. They're not old. They're current.
Fine.
I know. Head over to flightdeckgear.ca and rep the merch. Support the show, and we love to see all of our fans of the show wearing the merch. It's really, really cool. Also, we are on X and Blue Sky. That's at Alouettes FL Deck. At Facebook at Alouettes Flight Deck Pod, and at Instagram and YouTube, and that's over at Alouettes Flight Deck. Speaking of YouTube, as it just premiered this past week, our companion show, our post-game show, Flight Deck Live, is now broadcasting for the 2025 season. So make sure you head over there and check it out there. Whenever we are about to go live, we'll let you know on all of our socials, and it will give a message before it does go live. Also, if you want to find the audio version of the podcast there, you want to find the video version of the podcast there, you can do so also over at YouTube. And also want to, again, thank our presenting sponsor, Royal Retros, where if you go to royalretros.com and use the code FlightDeck, you will save 10% off your entire order.
And as always, folks, like, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell on YouTube, make sure you're following us on all the others. That way, and also turn your notifications on so that when we do go live with Flight Deck Live, or when this show drops, for example, you will be notified. So once again, we always want you to be a part of the flight team. Make sure you tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell your family, tell everybody about the Alouettes Flight Deck.
Yeah, I'm about to say, now would be the best time to go ahead and make sure you turn on the notification bell, because your guys are going to have at least 2 shows before our next podcast. So all the more reason. Wide receivers. Nice seeing Austin Mack on the field. I know, a couple of the it's one, I think it's one of the nitpicks of the field itself this year, by the way, Cliff, is we're near the 30. And it looked like they put down some more of the rubber pellets on that field itself, and some of the players were slipping a little bit, and that kind of concerned me. I hope that if that is the case, that they are able to even that stuff out. But it was nice seeing the core wide receivers back. Most of them are signed to long-term contracts. Again, as we mentioned before, seeing Tyson Philpott back, finally hearing that he was back on the field. Any of the guys that you happen to watch, whether it be our current set of guys or the ones that are fighting for a spot, that really stood out to you?
Well, I mean, you talk about the core of this wide receiving group. Guys like Tyson Philpott, Tyler Snead, Cole Speaker, Charleston Rambo, Austin Mack, of course, the Big Mac. I mean, to have those guys healthy, raring, ready to go is absolutely phenomenal. In fact, I know it's early and I'm not one for predictions or anything like that, but Tim, we're with Davis Alexander throwing the ball to these dudes. I mean, don't be surprised. Do not be surprised if we have not 1, not 2, not 3, but imagine having 4 1,000-yard receivers. The Alouettes haven't had that since like the days of Anthony Calvillo. I mean, but that's not so impossible to think about. When you think about it, just the way that Davis is able to place the ball almost anywhere and just hit the hands of any of his receivers. I mean, my goodness, there's just a dearth of talent in that receiving room. And then you've got the young upcoming guys like Shedler Furvius, Hakeem Harris, who, by the way, the other day made an absolutely phenomenal contested catch. I mean, wow. I mean, a lot of people are wondering, okay, what does Danny Mac see in this guy? Why did the Alouettes draft him in, I think it was the 4th round? Well, you got to see it. I mean, like, this is a big boy. I mean, a big body receiver, great hands, and just the spatial awareness. I mean, he had some measurables and was able to put them to good use and make an absolutely phenomenal catch, and has apparently been doing that a couple of times, which as a fan, you have to be excited about that, especially when you talk about national depth. I mean, you talk about like the national receivers. I mean, Tyson Philpott, head and shoulders above everybody else. When he's 100% healthy, he's second to none as far as I'm concerned. But as I said, guys like Shedler Furvius, who I definitely think is a talent that is just waiting to be unearthed. And now this Hakeem Harris making absolutely outstanding plays in his first couple of days of camp. I mean, wow. I mean, as important as it is for all the receivers to get the love to showcase what they're able to do in that, I mean, the national depth has to be taken care of as well. And I think this team is in good hands. And that's despite losing guys like Keon Julian Grant. I mean, my goodness. I mean, the talent in this room. Again, I will not be surprised when it's all said and done, when we're at the Grey Cup in Winnipeg, and we look back on this Alouettes team. It really would not surprise me if we do see at least 4 guys with 1,000 yards receiving this year. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not promising it's going to happen. I'm just saying I won't be surprised if it does.
We
happen.
we do have the tools for it to happen.
Exactly. I mean, with Davis slinging the rock and these guys catching the ball, expect a lot of touchdowns. Expect a lot of touchdown passes. I truly think this team, and let's not forget Walter Fletcher as well. I mean, yes, he's a running back. He's running back, but arguably the best two-way player in the Canadian Football League. This guy can catch just as well as he can run, and I wouldn't be surprised too if he racks up a few receiving touchdowns as well. So I mean, you talk about weapons on this team. My goodness, offensively and defensively, man, there's a lot to be excited about.
Since you talk about the running back room, we're now down to 4 after today's cuts. It's Fletcher, Tanner Nelms, Stevie Scott III, and STE, Sean Thomas Erlington. It's funny. One of the guys that really stood out to me the most for that day 1 practice that we saw there, Cliff, despite him having a new number, by the way, was Stevie Scott. He looked good. He really looked good. He's one of the, besides Fletch has by the way, we didn't get a chance to talk to Fletch, but Fletch came out. For those who weren't there, Fletch came out, and it's like he was wearing a rubber band. I guess it looked like one of those athletic rubber bands around his mid thigh. And I'm really curious to know about that. Really curious, because next time we do see him, we'll have to ask him, maybe at the inter squad game, just out of curiosity. But Stevie Scott looked good. He really did, and I'm wondering if he's going to be able to supplant himself as the number 2.
It's not so crazy to think. I mean, a lot of people will say, "Well, what about Sean Thomas Erlington? He really came on last year in the second half, especially." And I agree. I mean, he definitely proved that he belongs on this team without question. I mean, his special teams work is excellent, and that's going to definitely keep him on this team no matter what happens. But I mean, give him the opportunity, he can turn on the Jets and go. So one would think, well, why doesn't he become number 2? The only problem with that is if he's number 2 and gets hurt, is there a capable number 3 that's also a national player? Let's not forget, Sean Thomas Erlington is a national player.
Yep.
So with Walter Fletcher being American, ideally his backup should be American, with STE being number 3. Fair or not, I mean, that's just how it is. And if Sean Thomas Erlington blows the doors off of everybody, which you can't discount the possibility of that happening. It's making sure that you've got a capable national running back that can do it. Can that be Tanner Nelms? We thought maybe it could be Keanu Yazbek, who was taken in the draft, who is a great running back, but I'll bury the lead here. He was actually put on the suspended list. I'm not sure why. I don't know if this means he'll be back at a later time, or maybe I don't know if he's eligible to go back to school or not. Maybe that's the reason why. I'm not entirely sure, but now all of a sudden, one has to wonder, like, as far as the running back hierarchy goes, you got Fletch. Now you've got Stevie Scott, and then STE. A lot of people will say it should be Fletch, STE, and then Scott. But like I said, as far as the ratio goes, it doesn't quite work. It can't quite work that way. So again, all the more opportunity for someone to step up, like a Tanner Nelms, who, again, national running back, storied career in U Sports, has all the tools, as far as I'm concerned, that to make some noise. It's possible, but once again, and we'll see as camp progresses and as we get into the preseason, just how that hierarchy works. But I'm with you. Stevie Scott looked absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if it was the number change that made the difference or what, but he was making some serious plays out there and just looking absolutely phenomenal.
Well, becoming number 8, he did look a little bit slimmer.
8 is great. What can I say?
By the way, I looked it up for Kenny Yazbek. He's already had his 4 years of eligibility at Western. So, but remember too, by the way, as we saw with Joseph Zima, he was on the suspended list too. This suspended list doesn't count against the cuts, so he wasn't cut. So Yazbek wasn't cut. So there's something. Danny Mack and most head coaches and most general managers, I don't want to say know how to work the system, but they know when to put somebody that they want to keep. They put them on the suspended list. So who knows? Who knows? He's still in camp. That's the thing. He's still in camp.
Yes. So any number of things could happen, but as it stands right now, though, it looks like it will be it's very possible it will be Walter Fletcher, Stevie Scott, and STE as far as the running back room goes in Montreal. And I'm not mad at that at all.
Yeah. Defense-wise, do you notice anything? One of the things I do want to mention, you're talking about at the beginning where all these players seem to be hyped, already smack talking. Tyrell Richards was getting in his fair share.
Yeah, he was running his mouth just a little bit.
Oh, man. And that was during the kicking drill? I think that was during the kicking drill that he was going off. Was it?
No, it was a one-on-one drill with the receivers.
Okay. Yeah. That's what it was. But man, it was nice seeing him back again. Obviously. Wanting to have him to be able to have a full year on the field, get to those 18 games. I'm sure that's his goal. But anybody else stand out?
And if he does, then be excited, Alouettes fans, because I mean, when he's healthy, there's simply not much better than that. I mean, we're talking about being in a very crowded, almost linebacking core for him to be able to get his foot in that door and get his time to shine. He's got to stay healthy, though. And if he can stay healthy, watch out, because he is absolutely phenomenal at what he does. Jeffrey Kante Arku, also another national linebacker that, once again, there's something about changing numbers sometimes that just makes
I know.
It's an attitude, right? It's a mindset, it feels like. And now he's rocking the number 9. And my gosh, he too is also sensational. Like, just really getting into these drills and really just not afraid at all to throw his weight around and just make his presence felt. And I'm all for it. I mean, if both he and Tyrell Richards can come on this linebacking core and just absolutely dominate, along with guys like Tyrese Beverett, Darnell Sankey, and such, my God. I mean, this is going to be so much fun. I mean, I think this front 7 for the Alouettes is going to cause major damage this year. I would not want to be an opposing quarterback or an opposing offensive coordinator to try and scheme against this group, because that defensive line is an absolute terror. It has depth for days. and then you got that linebacking core that is just going to do damage. Like there's no other way to put it. Like these guys are just going to do damage to opposing offenses and to quarterbacks as well. So I mean, this defense, I mean, we know and love Noel Thorpe and how he runs things and how he puts together. This is absolutely stifling, phenomenal defense.
And the beard on Coach Thorpe. You mentioned that. We have to at least mention it. Man, the beard looks good.
My goodness. I mean, more power to him. If he can grow a beard and rock it, like he did. Wow. Well done. Well done.
Where's yours?
It's one of these days. One of these days.
It's okay. You'll become a boy one day, Cliff. It's all right.
Maybe I'll just take these chest hairs and just right here.
Oh God. Yes. Wasn't it? What were the other players that changed numbers? Wasn't Bryce Cosby another one of them also?
Yep, he's now 23.
Yeah, and maybe after what he did last year, he wasn't. And we'll have to find out. But players being superstitious, nah. Maybe that was something. Maybe he didn't like his number, and he's thinking, maybe my year wasn't as what I expected it to be. Change the number may help a little bit. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, just sucks for the fans that go out and buy these guys' jerseys, and then like find out the next year that they changed their number. It's like, oh, you're killing me, Smalls.
Yeah.
But again, that is the risk you run, though, unfortunately.
Yeah. It's funny. We haven't talked about some of the guys too, and we didn't talk about Arthur Hamill. We didn't talk at all about KB and Into. I mean, I think it just goes, and we really didn't talk about Darnell Sankey or any of them because it's what we expect. We expect these guys to be there and do what they need to do. They've already made a name for themselves. It's now time for some of these other guys to try and make the name. And yes, it was only day one of practice, but the stuff the reports that we'd heard over the next 2 days, Charles Rambo making some absolutely stupid catches, supposedly. You know what I mean? And what I like, this is what I like. Hearing the post game interview with Davis Alexander, one of those 2 days, basically say that the defense, we have such a good defense. Even I had a bad day today. The defense was playing their top game, and that goes to show. I think Davis is able to recognize. He's able to recognize how good the talent is. He may have an off day at practice, but it's a matter of let them do what they need to do in games, and then he himself will do what he needs to do in games versus the opposition.
Yeah, it's going to be reassuring for him, especially this being his first year as a starting quarterback, to know that his defense has his back and that he doesn't have to be the hero. He doesn't have to, try too hard to make plays happen because the defense is not doing their job. That's not even the case at all. The defense 100% does their job here in Montreal. So, I mean,
yeah. By the way,
he's got to be excited, and you can tell it just in his voice and his.
I was going to say, but you talk about we talk about back to the defenses. You and I you're taller than me, but yet when we both stood up to when we saw Sean Oakman, I was wondering if I had to get a Sherpa because that's how small I felt having to get myself up the hill, so to speak. Man, that man is large. That is such a big guy. I mean, what do you say, 6'9"?
He is 6'9". I think a little over, a little under 300 pounds. I mean, and just muscle. I mean, yeah. Like again, I'm 6'1", and I'm looking up to him like, hey, what's up, man? Like just incredible. Like just a specimen, a unit, like an absolute unit of a human being. And
yeah,
great guy to talk to as well, I have to say. And we were able to talk for a little bit, and the excitement level in his voice as well is palpable. I mean, I just, just the idea of playing with guys like Isaac Adeyemi Berglund, Luwal Ugalak, Mustafa Johnson when he's healthy, and so on. I mean, there's some absolute dudes on this defensive line, and he is one of them. I mean, he is one of one as far as I'm concerned. Like, what a specimen. I mean, I cannot wait to see him in actual game action because, I mean, yeah, day one of camp, he was all smiles, like he had that gentle giant vibe to him. But I guarantee, like when it's actual football game and it counts, I expect him to be like, turn into a monster and just absolutely terrorize offensive lines and get to the quarterback and make them pay. And oh my, did we mention how tall he is? 6'9".
Well, I was going to say one of the funnier comments from him was to our executive producer.
Oh yeah, she is 5'3" on a good day, and she refers to herself as fun sized. He said, "No, I'm fun sized," in that deep baritone voice, like, "Yes, you are. Yes, that is a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun."
Yeah.
So yes, Sean Oakman is also fun sized, but just not quite the way one would think.
I would think super sized. Holy crap!
It's a big boy.
Any other comments? I know we got to talk about the cuts and stuff like that, but I mean, any because I know a lot of people think that Davis Alexander's success will be based on how good the O line is. We know how good the defense is, but the O line. Anything that you noticed during camp itself? I said it was so tough going back and forth watching who, what, and where because your head's on a swivel. Your head is on a swivel. So
it's true, and yeah, nothing really stood out, but not in a bad way either. As far as, I mean, like, again, these guys are just doing their jobs and coming to compete and coming to play, and that's essentially what you want. Like, again, it's really hard on day one to truly see what this offensive line is able to do, other than just your standard drills. But I mean, the real proof's going to come during those 2 preseason games. Like, that's where you're going to see the veterans showcase what they can do best, and then to see if these younger, lesser known players are able to provide that same protection for, even if it's like the second, third, or fourth string quarterback. Because if you can't protect those guys, then there's no way in hell that the team's going to let you anywhere near QB1. So
yeah,
to me, that's going to be an interesting battle to watch. But I mean, I feel very confident in this linebacking group as it sits right now, because there's definitely some talent there as well. And I think Davis Alexander too has to be just excited at the prospect of, okay, I got these big boys in front of me and I'm going to have the time and space to do what I do best. And as a starting quarterback, to have that reassurance is immeasurable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and it seemed that our number 1 pick, Tiger Shanks, was getting accustomed quite well. But again, our heads are on a swivel so much. It's multiple days at camp really to notice things, and luckily we'll have that option over the next week, seeing a couple of practices and stuff like that, and a couple of sessions. But it really we'll really get to see what these guys look like, even though it will be in a different type of capacity with the upcoming intra-squad game. We'd probably say check the weather forecast because he may have to bring rain gear, but we'll see what happens. But it's from that and the couple of days of practice after that. So it should be very interesting. But I said I don't want to call it a first test, Cliff, but the intra-squad game will, I think, be able to people who weren't at practice will be able to see what type of guys these are and what they're able to do, because they said it's not just a normal practice. It actually is. I think that it is playing with pads. So
yeah, and it's as close to a game simulation as you can expect without it being preseason, for example. But no, definitely, I think again, if you couldn't make it to the first session, or if you can't make it to any of the sessions during the week, if nothing else, try to make it for the intra-squad game, because it once again is going to be the best opportunity to really get a good idea of what these guys are able to do, at least before the preseason gets underway. So definitely a must attend as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree. Cliff, as mandated by the CFL, their first round of cuts were actually made today. Who are the guys? I know you mentioned a couple of them already, but who are the guys that, at least for now, will not be a part of the Alouettes roster going forward?
All right. Well, just before camp got underway, Anthony Bennett was released by the Alouettes on the defensive line. Also, before the mandated cuts were to be made, the Alouettes also released Cam Johnson, wide receiver, as well as running back Dajan Edwards. I hope I'm saying that right. Dajan Edwards. Funny, I actually remember seeing a couple of drills out of him, and I thought, again, didn't look out of place at all. So, I mean, clearly the organization saw something we didn't, but, you know, or it simply really is sometimes truly a matter of a numbers game. You always have to be down to 75 players by today, and sometimes you're just the odd man out. With that in mind, here's some of the other cuts that were made. Praise Amewool from Texo El Paso. Daniel Arias, a receiver from Colorado, which I thought was interesting because when he was signed, they had a little bit of fanfare as regards because, again, Colorado right now with Coach Prime at the helm is getting all kinds of attention. Sam Clark, our global punter draft pick from last year, was unfortunately shown the door. Interesting in the sense because the Alouettes did draft 2 punters in this year's global draft, and they're still on the team. So I'm not sure what Sam did or didn't do to merit a chance to keep on going. But again, that's football for you. Quinton Meeks, defensive back from Stanford, who has played in the NFL. I'll be honest, I didn't really notice anything outstanding from him. Didn't see anything terrible from him, but I guess once again, it simply could be just a matter of the numbers. That's sometimes the way it goes. Ifena Onyeka, who was added just before camp and now has been shown the door. Defensive lineman from Carleton. Matt Severance, a defensive back from Bentley. And Traquan Thomas, defensive lineman from Alabama State. Both of these gentlemen, same as the others, were not terrible, but didn't do anything that I thought was outstanding. And I truly think it really was just a matter of being part of the numbers game. Sometimes it's just, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And doesn't mean they're terrible players. It just wasn't their time. So we thank them for their contributions and wish them all the best going forward.
Yep. And what's funny too is that the Alouettes actually did announce that they did sign somebody. They brought in another wide receiver from who played at Delaware, Phil Lutz Jr. So I guess we'll be able to see him for the very first time at camp at the inter-squad game. So
that's it. I mean, nice thing about camp, well, I guess it depends if you're on the receiving end of the pink slip. It's not so nice, but there is movement that does happen. Players get dropped and added constantly throughout camp as the team tries to decide who they want on the 2025 squad. So, I mean, it really does behoove you to pay attention to the transaction wire to see if the Alouettes add or delete players and see who gets added or deleted. Again, as this team tries to find that magic formula to get back to and hopefully win another Grey Cup, it all starts here. It all starts in training camp. That's all part of the process as this team is being essentially put together. And we won't know the final product until June 30th or after the game on June 30th, I should say.
Yeah.
That weekend that's when you're going to find out the final cuts and find out who is going to be on this team, who's going to be on the practice roster, and ultimately who's going to be sent on home.
Yep. The CFL, Cliff, did announce their preseason broadcast schedule, and also CTV did announce the games that were going to be listed that are going to be simulcast this year. So there's no dedicated games that are going to be on CTV alone, but they will be on simulcast on CTV and TSN. For the preseason itself, Cliff, the Alouettes will have both of their games on television. The first being the Ottawa at Montreal game, the first preseason game on May 24th. It will be on RDS and it will be on CFL Plus. And then the other game that is being broadcast, the Alouettes game, the other Alouettes preseason game is going to be the second of the 2 games that are being broadcast by the CFL for the preseason. It will be the Montreal at Ottawa game on May 30th. and that will be on TSN and RDS. All other games that were announced by the CFL for the preseason, Cliff, will be available on CFL Plus, and that is to our Canadian viewers and also to our US fans also.
And international.
Yeah, and international. It was also announced too by CTV is that there has been an expansion of these games that are going to be on CTV this year. I think it's gone up to, I think it's 18 games now. I think that's what it says. It's going to be 18 games this year total that will be simulcast, including the playoffs. And some of the games are going to be on Saturdays also, which I'm like, that's amazing. It's not just, they're not just pushing it to that, sticking to that. It's not just afternoon games. It's also going to be night games too on CTV, which I think is going to be very interesting. So I think, I remember the last time a game on CTV kicked off at night. You know what I mean? It probably goes back to when it was last on television before it came back last year. There will be 2 Alouettes games that will be on CTV. One will be the game in Montreal versus the BC Lions. And the other one is
in Ottawa.
Thank you. Yeah, it's this basically the last, I think it's the last game of the year in Ottawa. Is that the one that it is? I think it's in October. It's in October.
Yeah, that's the one.
Same, by the way. Yeah, but go ahead. Thinking the same thing.
That would be the fan bus game in case Alouettes fans that want to be a part of it and want to be on CTV and TSN. You just have to go to that game. So, and what better way to do that than getting on the fan bus that is currently for sale right now? Like if people want to get on board, save their seat. I mean, it's a hell of a time. So if you want to be a part of the CTV broadcast as well as the TSN broadcast, because as you said, is being simulcast on both stations, what better way than to do that? And of course, what better way to support the Alouettes than by getting on the bus and cheering them on in enemy territory?
Yep, exactly. So again, things are coming into place. Obviously you can only take so much away from day one of camp, but it still is the start of the season itself. Again, as I said just a couple of minutes ago, I think they're really the first big test, I think, is the intra-squad game, seeing what happens there and seeing some of these quarterbacks in live action. But other than that, it's the start of the road to Grey Cup 112.
Absolutely. And as I said before, the energy on day one was palpable. It was phenomenal. It felt good again. Like and everybody was just happy and glad to be there and glad to be seeing actual live football being played again. And it's just going to continue on, as you said, this coming Saturday, the intra-squad game. There's still more sessions of camp coming up, and then you got preseason and so forth. And like, we're ready or not, football is back, and it couldn't have come at a better time as far as I'm concerned. And the weather, for the most part, has been cooperating, which is absolutely phenomenal. And here's hoping that it does stay that way, because as you said, possibility of rain for the intra-squad game. Here's hoping that it happens either before or after the game, not during, but just be prepared, folks. That's really all you can do. And yeah, if you have the chance to go to Saint-Jerome and attend these practice sessions, they are free to the public. The schedule is on the website. Make sure you check that out. I mean, it's well worth your time, especially to come and see these players and get to watch them do what they do and just get the idea of what they go through in order to prepare for the upcoming season. I mean, to me, it is invaluable as far as getting to learn about how this team is run, how this team operates, and what they're planning to do in order to get to Winnipeg and play in the Grey Cup later this year. It all starts at camp. It really does. And if you were there for the first day, I don't have to explain to you just how phenomenal it was. If you haven't been, there's still plenty of time. There's still lots of camp sessions. Definitely make the effort to get to Saint-Jerome and check it out.
Yeah, exactly. Did you happen to miss this past week's episode of Flightdeck Live? There, you can go ahead and catch it over on our YouTube page. You can catch it over somewhere in our X feed, and it's also over on our Facebook page. But we hope you guys do check it out and check it out throughout the entire season. So watch for our socials this week. As I stated, we have at least 2 Flight Deck lives powered by Sport Buff scheduled on the docket, so stay tuned for those. But other than that, we hope to see you at the Inter Squad game. Come say hey. Let us know you're going to be there. We'd love to talk with you about the Owls or whatever you guys want to talk about. It's just great to be able to run into the fans of the show.
Absolutely. And again, we're not hard to find. We're wearing this logo, so come say hi.
Yeah, exactly. Cliff, again, great starting the season with you, bud. And I'm really looking forward to joining you at the Inter Squad game this weekend. So again, football's back, baby.
It's back. So back.
Yes, sir.
We are so back.
Yep. So again, make sure you watch for our socials for all the upcoming shows, including our next show next week too. So for everybody at the Alouettes Flight Deck, for Cliffy D, I'm Tim Capper. We're on Final Approach.